Thanks you so much, Magnus and the team for having us on board. My name is Karin Ebbinghaus. I'm the CEO of Elonroad, and we are what we're called. We are electricity on road. So nothing to do with Elon Musk, not yet at least, but you never know. Once upon a time we can say Elonroad, it's a Musk. So our founder, Dan Treas, he woke up one day and thought that, no, not one day, but he wanted to have an EV. Living in an apartment in Lund, really difficult to find charging infrastructure, and also thought that the car was too expensive due to the batteries and the range was not sufficient. So driving to work one day, it was quite a snowy day, so it formed a snow pile of a slush between the car tires. And his mind was going like, what if there's something there that I could charge my car on? A bit like my childhood car track. And most normal people, I would say, they would get that idea and then they would actually go to work and continue as normal. But Dan is very innovative. So he went home and built the first prototype in Lego. And then he found himself a professor at Lund University. And this was about 10 years ago. And since then, we have developed this quite revolutionary infrastructure to really facilitate the transition of what we have today into electrification. And our view is that electrical roads, as we are building, could really facilitate this transition and be a bit like broadband and fiber has been for digitalization previously. So one is a prerequisite for another. And why have we focused so much on this? And why is it a focus in Sweden on electrical roads? So at least here in Sweden, it's a bit higher here than in Europe, but 30% of our total CO2 emissions come from road transportation alone. And there are no studies showing that the levels of road transportation will decrease. Even if we see in the light of COVID-19 that we don't travel so much as persons, and perhaps public transportation is having a hard time, we have increased other patterns of consumption. So e-commerce is really driving a lot of transportation of goods. And in order to have a sustainable method for that, we need to do something about that. And that's why Sweden has such a high focus on solving that. And also, we notice in the light of COVID that the air quality is much better when we don't have so much ECE vehicles in a city center. So if we want to improve the air quality and we want to reduce the carbon footprint, we need to have another system. So now when we perhaps have time to think, we think it's essential that we both redesign and rethink how we want the future to look like. So what have we done to solve this? So we have produced aluminum rail. It's recycled, which you can put either on top of the asphalt, as you see here, or we can also submerge it. And it has been filled with a lot of processing power and sensors. And it works so when the vehicles come driving over the rail, it will send an encrypted radio signal, which will unlock the power distribution in such short segments of only 1 meter at a time. And this means that we can safely transfer power both when the vehicle stands still or when it's in motion. And this 1 meter unlocking segment, it will actually transfer underneath the vehicle, even if you drive speeds 150 kilometers an hour. So we can transfer for a longer or larger vehicle up to 300 kilowatts with 97% efficiency. And since we always communicate with the state of charge and the battery, we know how much power the battery needs and how much effect you really have in the system. So we can have a possibility to say, oh no, today at this point, we don't have sufficient power in the system, so we will only provide you with 60% of what you need. So it's a possibility to have a peak power shaving. And besides the possibility of charging, we can also give a lot of information to the vehicles to drive more safely. So if there's a temperature drop, the road will actually know that. So it can give me a warning, either if it's me, a person driving, or it's in the future autonomous vehicles. We will know, okay, there's a temperature drop, it will be slippery, so please drive carefully. Or the radar in the LED lights you see here in the lids, it can say, oh, there's an object on road. It's, you know, in Sweden we have wild moose running around, so it can give you a warning for wild animals. And we have software embedded in the rail, so we also know the vehicle identity and the exact amount of power that has been consumed. So we can also send you a bill afterwards. And why do we do this also? Because range anxiety and charging anxiety is something that is really restricting this transformation. Because if you look at from a user perspective, you want to have your vehicle, you want to use it as long as possible, and you don't want to have any unnecessary stops. So creating a constant energy loop will really provide you with a range extender that will facilitate higher uptime, and then you can also decrease the weight of the battery, which is good for your wallet as well as the environment, because production of batteries has a large CO2 effect. So we can really see in some user cases, especially where you have decentralized infrastructure or closed loop systems going from a port to a warehouse. So you have this repetitive transportation pattern. So if you calculate the time you stand still, and you can sort of take convenience in charging with automatically with no cord, and then you sort of refill on the go for certain areas, you can really create this ongoing energy loop of transportation where you can have the same vehicle deployed at all times. So it's possible already today to find user cases that has a quite speedy return on investment. So we don't really have to look upon this grand vision of having electrical roads everywhere. So, and our business model is really adapted to this e-mobility journey that we are on. And we, of course, acknowledge that automatic stationary charging is the first step on this journey. And actually, we do already have a project with DHL that we have been running or testing for more than a year now. And hopefully, within a couple of weeks, we can go public with at least 3 more projects that we are doing for different customers and different use cases of just improving the reliability of stationary charging. And hopefully we will see within a few years, because the Swedish Transportation Administration have several projects in pipeline for building electrical roads on the public roads in Sweden. And this is just giving you a snapshot instead of having PowerPoint presentations. This is actually a picture of our factory, which we don't have in Gnosjö, even though I'm from that area, not yet, but extruded aluminium profiles here are from Norsk Hydro in Vetlanda, so not too far away. But we do all our assembly in our prototype production facility here in Lund. So our go-to-market strategy is, of course, to follow that e-mobility journey, starting with some beachhead projects. It's important to get proof of concept, of course, so people can really see that this is working before jumping on board our grand vision of having electrical roads everywhere. But we think or believe and get the signals that from a customer perspective, if you think of a customer as a logistic company or a transportation company, it's really a problem for them to have this transformation into electrical trucks or vans. It's not so easy just to buy a new electrical vehicle and go on as normal. You have to adopt a lot of things, and it's very complicated. So if we can help them to solve that problem, we really take a more of a turnkey solution there. And we are ready to accelerate. We have some interesting partners behind us, both from a project perspective, retrofitting, and utility perspective. The only one we are lacking now is the vehicle manufacturer. So we would really like to get more involved with them, of course. But we are preparing to scale up now, and we have, as I said, several projects in pipeline. And this is our team. We are currently 12 full-time employees, and I would say that we have a quite diverse background and profiles, but we have all sort of joined forces because we have this firm belief that we can really make climate action here and now. A lot of people are joining us and taking contact with us because they read about us and they share our vision that we really need to have this transformation of the transportation sector, and that we can do something fantastic and disruptive. So we're really glad to have more crazy people like we on board to have this journey. So this is what we do now. We're building 1 kilometer of electrical road in Lund, doing some stationary charging, and we see that this is only a first step on this e-mobility journey.